guys, welcome back to our channel. Today I'm going to be talking about flea protection and heartworm protection the natural way. So as most of you guys know from the rest of my videos, I do try and do as many things as I can the natural way with the dogs. I don't believe in excess vaccinations. I feed raw food, and I definitely have my thoughts and views on flea prevention and heartworm prevention, and I'm going to share with you my thoughts on that today. Just as a disclaimer, I am not a veterinarian. I am not an expert in this field. I am just someone who does do a lot of research and a lot of reading, and I do consult with different people in the dog field, or that are in the dog community, like show breeders, good responsible breeders, as well as a holistic veterinarian. I do follow Dr. Karen Becker and Dr. Judy Morgan on YouTube and Facebook, and they have a wealth of information, and those are two great veterinarians, holistic veterinarians that you can use as resources. They both do phone consultations if you do not have a holistic veterinarian in your area. However, it's very, very hard to get in with Dr. Becker, but Dr. Judy Morgan is really good too, and she is pretty easy, I believe, to get in with a phone consultation. We do have a holistic veterinarian that I consult with for my dogs, and I'm just going to share with you some of the things that we do for these two topics. Now, if you're not aware of the dangers of flea medications and over medicating with heartworm prevention medicine, I am going to go over that in a few minutes. So the first thing we're going to talk about is flea prevention. Now, as in any kind of medication, especially a medication that is designed to kill the larvae of the mosquitoes or kill mosquitoes, it is a pesticide. So the dangers of that would be it reduces their immune system, it makes their immune system much weaker. Also, it's a pesticide, meaning it's a poison. So just as you wouldn't probably think of going outside and putting pesticide on your skin to protect yourself against fleas, then I feel the same way, that I don't want to put flea medication on the dogs as well. So that's where I stand as far as that goes. Now, to be honest with you, I do not use any flea medication at all. And the reason why I don't use it is because I don't have a problem with fleas. However, you have to realize that my dogs have a very, very low risk of contacting fleas unless we would bring it in on us, like on our clothes or something. But they don't go outside to potty, they potty inside. And I don't have carpet, so I have just tile floor throughout my home. And so their risk of getting fleas to begin with is very minimal. However, we are conditioned to believe by the pet community as well as veterinarians or standardized veterinarians that you are being a good, responsible pet owner if you give your dog monthly flea prevention and monthly heartworm prevention. It's just something that we have been conditioned to believe, like since we were all very young, that if you're a responsible owner, you do all of these things so that you can, prevent all of these things from happening. But there are safer and more natural ways to do this other than putting poison on your dog's bodies every single month. This not only, like I said, affects their immune system, but those pesticides or poisons contain agents that are known carcinogens, meaning that they cause cancer. And if you have been a pet owner or a lover of pets for a long time, over the years you probably have seen the increase in cancers in dogs. Just like we have an increase in cancer in humans. It is because of all of the things that they're putting in our foods, in their foods, and in medications, and things like pesticides and poisons that you're putting on your dogs. So I urge you that if you are in an area where fleas and ticks are prevalent, you don't have to use the chemical flea medications that are out there. There are natural, safer ways to prevent fleas or a flea infestation, or your dog's getting fleas, however you want to say it. There's safer and more effective ways than putting that poison on your pet's skin. It goes on the skin and it does absorb into their bodies, so it is getting to their little organs, and there are so many reports that have come out with adverse reactions to these medicines or to these poisons, especially in the small breeds. And I was reading just this morning on Dr. Becker's website the breeds that are most severely affected with adverse reactions, and the Shih Tzu, Yorkies, Maltese, the miniature poodle, and a couple other ones. They are the most affected by having, or their risks are higher for having adverse reactions. So I just feel like if you can prevent fleas a more natural way, why not? Everyone, you know, is moving towards that in our own healthcare. So I think it's important as your dog's advocate to move toward a more natural way to help prevent them as well. So what are the ways that you can do that? First of all, I have already said that I don't give mine any type of monthly flea preventative at all. I have not had a problem with fleas. The only time I have ever had a problem with fleas was back about 26 years ago, 27 years ago. I had a problem with fleas and I had 2 indoor only cats. So go figure. They didn't go outside, but I did have a problem with fleas. I was noticing some fleas on them, so I had to do the whole flea bomb in the house. But I had carpet, wall-to-wall carpet throughout the house. So I'm sure that the fleas came in on us, got into the carpet and multiplied, and I was seeing fleas on the cats. I'm like, what the hell is this? They don't go outside. But that's what happened then. But in the years since then, I do not do anything for fleas. The only time I would ever treat for fleas and put anything on them is if I see a problem. If I see a problem, then I'll treat it. If I'm not seeing any fleas, then I'm not going to give them something every month, whether it's natural or not, for fleas when I don't have the problem. However, there are a lot of people that do live in areas that the fleas are a problem. I understand that. Also ticks. Ticks can carry, Lyme's disease, and that is a very, very serious disease that your pets can get. So if you live in an area that you are more prone to seeing ticks, then you have to be a little bit more diligent with giving something to help prevent those ticks and fleas from being attracted to your dog. Or if you live in an area and you just go camping in an area that has ticks, you have to do something for preventative measures. And I have done that before. When we go camping, if the dogs are going to be outside and going for walks, which, mine, these little divas, they don't go for walks in the woods, but I did, kind of give them something natural, which I'm going to explain, just to kind of help prevent, because I get scared of, things like Lyme disease. So if you live in those areas, you will want to prevent if there are a lot of fleas and ticks in your area. But this is what I suggest, or this is what I do, or I would do to prevent those fleas and ticks from being attracted to the pet. First and foremost, if you're feeding a raw food diet, which is absolutely the best diet that you can feed, your pet will ultimately be healthier, and so their immune system will be stronger, and stronger, healthier pets definitely ward off parasites a lot better than pets who are not as healthy. So keep that in mind. But I'm going to share with you some natural flea and tick recipes that you can do to protect your pet. The first thing that I recommend are a couple of books, and this one is called Essential Oils for Dogs. It is by Emily McLeod, and there is also a book called Spoil Your Pet, and it's SP and then in capital letters OIL, Your Pet. I don't have a copy of that book, but I have read it, and I have seen the recipes in that book, and that is a very, very good book as well. If you are not familiar with essential oils are different oils that you can buy, and the brand that I use and my preferred brand is DoTerra. There are, different brands out there, but there's Young Living, DoTerra, I think are the two top. I choose DoTerra as my oil of choice, but I do have some Young Livings as well. I will leave a picture at the end of this video showing my oil collection because I love my oils. And it's just a more natural way to treat all kinds of things. I use it for sore throats and colds and runny noses, and I tend to go to my oils first. I am not against medication. It's not that I don't use medicine, we do, but I will try and treat with oils first, and most times they do a pretty good job. So I love having these oils on hand and having that medicine chest at my disposal to pretty much take care of things. So if you're using oils such as doTERRA, there are recipes that you can make your own flea preventative. Now this preventative can be used monthly. It can be used just when you go in those areas that are prone to fleas and ticks, or you can put it on if you only see a problem, which is what I would do. If I would see a problem, then I would use a spray that I would make up from essential oils. So a couple of the recipes that they have out there is for a flea and tick repellent, and I'm gonna leave this in the description box below. I'm not going to go into the whole recipe here because it'll be redundant, but just know that it's a good many oils that they want you to blend into a bottle and with purified water. You can also put the oils in shampoo, which would make like a medicated flea shampoo. And it's things like the cleansing blend, clary sage, peppermint, lemon, geranium, eucalyptus, lavender, myrrh, and lemongrass. Those are the oils in this one recipe that I have here. And what you do is you mix it up. You put like so many drops into your bottle. And the bottles that I use for anything that contains essential oils are these amber dark colored bottles. You want to use a dark bottle and a glass bottle, not a plastic bottle, because oils are very, very potent, and they can actually eat through, the different ones can eat through, like lemon is very, very citrusy. Like one drop of lemon is equal to maybe 40 or 50 squeezed lemons. So it's all natural, but it is so potent, just these one, that one drop or two drops, that you want to use a glass bottle. You also want to use these dark bottles because they will protect it from breaking down against sunlight, and I don't know the technical stuff about that, but you always want to use a dark bottle that where the sun can't get through. I buy these bottles from aromatools.com. They have all sorts of different sizes, and they come with the spray pump, and you can do whatever you need to do with these bottles. And I buy a bunch of different little supplies like that from Aromatools. You can also make a homemade flea collar if you feel more comfortable with your dog wearing a flea collar. And the recipe I have here, which I will leave in the link in the description box below, is also the eucalyptus, the outdoor blend, the lemongrass. And they say to soak a nylon collar for 20 minutes. Remove the collar from the soak, let it dry, and place on your pet just as a regular collar, and then you can replace it every 2 weeks. They also have recipes for a natural flea balm, and so there's a lot of different ways that you can protect your pet by doing it naturally and safely rather than putting poisons on them. It is very, well, first of all, before I go into that, Dr. Karen Becker has a website, and it's healthypets.mercola.com. If you don't want to go into buying all of these different oils, you know, separately to make your own blend, she does sell a blend, and it is also made with essential oils. And I trust her because she is a holistic veterinarian and is very up to date on all of these topics. And she sells a preparation that is called the Flea and Tick Defense. It sells for $17.95. It does have lemongrass, cinnamon, sesame oil, castor oil, and water. So it doesn't have as many oils as the recipe that I have, but it would be a lot cheaper if you would buy, you know, something like that rather than buy a whole bunch of oils, unless you want to be like me and also treat your family with the oils. That's the great thing about collecting the oils and getting all of the different oils. You can use them on yourself and your family, and you can also use them on your pets and make these different recipes for them. Also, a great thing to have is something called a tick stick. They also sell this at healthypets.mercola. And that is a little tool that you would use if you would have a tick, to get the tick out whole rather than squish it and you know, have some of the tick remain in your pet. And then she also sells a flea collar as well. So if you don't want to do the whole, you know, essential oils, then definitely look up her website. I will leave the link as well, and that way you can at least have something natural, you know, to treat your pets for fleas and ticks. It is also important that if you have carpet, that you vacuum up your carpet regularly, and also treat your yard. It is much better to put those, you know, I don't like chemicals in the yards either, but it's better than putting chemicals on their sensitive skin. All right, she's gonna turn around. Everybody wants to see you. You gotta turn to the camera. They don't wanna see your hiney. Okay, so basically that's all of the information that I have for fleas and ticks. Basically, you know, treat them naturally with essential oils, either by making your own recipe or by buying the pre-made recipes or pre-made mixes from Dr. Becker. Now let's talk about heartworms. Okay, heartworms, well, let's back up. Fleas are just pesky. You know, if you get fleas, it's not like they're gonna cause a huge problem, other than your pet could have a flea allergy, which could cause a big problem, or, but it's just more of a pesky problem. Ticks obviously carry Lyme's disease, so that is a problem. But heartworms actually can be a very fatal condition if your heartworms are, if a dog with heartworms is not caught early and treated early. So that said, you do want to protect against heartworms. However, just like flea and tick preventatives, we were conditioned for years and years and years that all good pet owners give their dogs monthly heartworm protection, no matter where they live, the age of the pet, or the health condition of the pet. And that is where I believe differently. There is a map on Dr. Becker's website on the healthypets.mercola.com. There is a map on there that shows you, depending on where you live, the prevalence of mosquitoes or the mosquito season by months. So the recommendation by holistic veterinarians is not for you to give, or for you not to give your pets monthly heartworm medicine every month, but rather find out and assess your particular pet's risk. Now, I live in Louisiana, so we have a lot of mosquitoes here. The mosquitoes can literally carry you down the street. I mean, it's bad. I live in a swamp, basically. So my risk is going to be higher than someone who lives in Washington or somewhere up north where the mosquitoes aren't as bad. But yet the American Heartworm Association is still telling everyone, give your pets heartworm preventative every single month. Why? The heartworm preventative doesn't prevent your pet from getting heartworms. Let's just get that straight. The medicine that you give your pets for heartworms is not to prevent your pet from getting heartworms. It is designed to kill any larva that is left behind by the mosquito. So if there's no mosquitoes, then they're not going to be larvae on your pet to kill. So why put that poison in their body every single month when they don't need it? They might not need it every month. So the key to heartworm preventative naturally is to assess the risk of your pet by the location where you live. What is your mosquito season? And then if you don't know that, you can contact a holistic veterinarian. They will be happy to tell you which months you should be giving your heartworm preventative, and that is basically what I do. So in Louisiana, because our mosquitoes are pretty much around most of the time, our season is basically from April to January. Yeah, April to January. So we have about 9 months of mosquito season here. And I think I said that right, April to January. So it's 9 months basically is what it is. So what my veterinarian suggests, and what she has done for the past 25 years in her practice, is during those months, only give every other month. So basically I'm giving about 5 heartworm pills a year, as opposed to other people who are going to traditional veterinarians where they're saying give them every month. They're giving 12 pills a year. So I am cutting the amount of poison that I'm putting in their little bodies down by more than half, because they're getting 5 pills as opposed to 12 pills every month. If you look at that map and you see that you're in an area where your mosquito season is only in the warm summer months and you live up north, and that may be only 4 or 5 months. And then if you give a pill every other month or every 6 weeks, not every 4 weeks, but if you give every 6 weeks or every other month, you're cutting that amount that's going into their bodies by a lot. So I encourage you to look up the map, find out where you live, and also assess your particular pet's risk level, and then dose accordingly. It is also very, very important still to get that heartworm test every year, because just in case something would happen and your pet does contract heartworms, you want to make sure it is caught early so that they can be treated. It is treatable if it is caught early. Now, my particular situation, even though we live in an area that is because we live in an area that is very mosquito prone, 9 months out of the year, we pretty much have mosquitoes. I sometimes am not as, I kind of stretch that out a little bit because my pets don't go outside. That is a definite specific situation though. I do not recommend that to anyone who has pets that go outside to potty. But literally my dogs are they're pottying inside only. And so the only risk that they have would be if a mosquito carrying the whatever they carry to cause the heartworms gets in my house and gets on them. So, I mean, it's kind of like an individual thing. But if I lived in this area and I had pets that went outside to potty, then I would be doing every other month for those 9 months. So it's just going to depend on your particular area, and just give the smallest amount that you can give that will still protect your pets. Another thing that I wanted to mention as far as heartworm preventative is to not use one of those silver bullet brands that protect against fleas, ticks, heartworms, and every other worm known to mankind. You want to use something that is as specific to the item or specific to heartworms as possible. So we use HeartGuard, and that, you know, protects against heartworms, but it's not one of those, you know, medications that just covers everything under the sun. Those medications have so much poison in them, and so many different types of poison that you are putting into your body, into your dog's bodies, and it's just not good. I mean, really, if you think about it, it is not good at all. So try and use a product that is specifically for heartworms only. Or if you have, you know, one of the products is the Heartworm Plus, HeartGuard Plus, and that one has something in it for, I think, 2 types of worms with the HeartGuard, and I'm not sure if mine that I use is HeartGuard or HeartGuard Plus, but you want the one with the least amount of ingredients. You want the one that is only going to treat heartworms, and that's the one that you want to ask for. So that's what we use in our house, and I, you know, use it very sparingly. And, you know, my oldest dog died a few years ago at 18 years old, and she went outside to potty, and she was always heartworm clear for her whole life. So I trust the holistic veterinarian's recommendations wholeheartedly, and that is why I'm sharing this information. And talk to a holistic veterinarian. Don't take my word for it. Do your own research. Go to Dr. Becker's website. Go to healthypets.mercola.com, or have an online or a phone consultation with a holistic veterinarian. Most of them do that. And talk to them about it and see what their thoughts are on, you know, heartworm preventative for your area. Now, you also have to be diligent about mosquitoes and do things like don't bring your dog around standing water. Try not to do walks at dusk or dawn. That's when the mosquitoes are worse. You know, don't leave your doors open where a bunch of mosquitoes can get in your house. So do those type of things as well. If you're going to go out on walks, use that natural mosquito repellent with the essential oils to help repel the mosquitoes from biting your pet to begin with. And if you do that, you know, you are doing the best that you can do to bring the more natural side of things to your pets and to help them hopefully live as long as possible, because we want them to be around for as long as possible. And I truly believe from the bottom of my heart that by doing things the natural way in our own lives and the lives of our pet, we can extend their lives, and that is our ultimate goal. So that concludes this video. So if you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comment section below. And Stassi was being a good girl, and she would like to say thank you for watching, and please subscribe and catch us on Facebook. Bye. Say bye, Stassi. Bye bye. Oh, I love you. Yes, I do. Yes, I do.